Hi, my name is Margaret Miltenberger, and I'm with the West Virginia University Mineral County Extension Service. I'm super excited to be here with you all today because I absolutely love soup, especially this time of year when it's cold and chilly outside. Soups are wonderful. They're a type of food that fills you up, they're cost efficient, they're easy to make, and you can make them with whatever ingredients you have on hand. As far as soups go, there are usually two different big categories. There's lots of different ways to look at it, but overall there's the broth soup and then there's a cream-based soup. We're going to make the cream-based soup potato soup because I think that's just a really popular one that lots of people like. And also I think lots of times we're not sure about the white sauce. So we're going to learn about how to make a white sauce today with the cream-based soup. The next part we're going to jump into is the ingredients that are going to go into the cream soup that I'm going to make, and then we're going to learn about making a white sauce. So just to review the ingredients that you're going to need with this recipe, you're going to need 3 cups of chicken broth, 2 cups of milk, 1/4 a cup of flour, 1/4 a cup of butter, or you can use oil, and then about 2 cups of potatoes, but your vegetables can vary as to what you have on hand, and you can add different ones, and then salt and pepper to taste. If you're using a salted butter, then you probably really are going to need to add salt. So the vegetables that we're going to use today, it's a potato soup, but I like to add different things to potato soup. It's one of my mom's favorites, and she really likes mushrooms. So we're going to add some mushrooms to the potato soup. We're definitely going to use some onions, and then also I'm going to add some broccoli. I'd really like to use fresh broccoli, but I don't have it, so it's going to be frozen. And I encourage you to keep that in mind. Frozen vegetables can be great additions. Fresh vegetables are really nice too. So to start with, just a little bit on the chopping part, the potatoes you can peel them or you can just leave the skin on. If you're going to peel, this is one of the best types of peelers to have. And it's really, people say, oh, I don't like to peel potatoes. If you've got a good peeler, it is no problem to peel potatoes. So that's an example of how you can do that really pretty quickly. I'll normally do that over the sink. In this case, I've decided I want to leave the skins on because that's what we like. And also the skins are really nutrient dense and have to add some good fiber and good nutrition. So when you're chopping potato, you want to make sure the knife goes straight to the board. Then I put it on the side. Go down several cuts. And sometimes people are like, oh, the chopping takes so long. It does not have to take long if you practice. As you can see this right now, we need about 2 cups of potatoes. And this is, in under 30 seconds, we've got about half of that. So these are the potatoes that we're going to add in. Onions is the same way. Reminder on the onions is that cut them in half first, and you want to get them flat. If they're flat like that, then you're not going to cut yourself, which is really important. So then I'm going to make the cuts like so, and then chop them, and the onions go really, really quickly as well. Mushrooms the same way. Mushrooms really cook up and get pretty small, so all this would be necessary really. It's just, and you're not going to have to chop them any finer than that. The broccoli, like I said, about a little bit of broccoli here, it's frozen. I'm just kind of letting it thaw out. Next step is putting our broth together. And what we're going to do is, I've got 2 cans of chicken broth. I'm just going to go ahead and pour that in. And I'm going to put my oven on about medium heat. And once it starts to simmer, you turn it down. I only have a can of chicken broth and I need 1 more cup to make 3. So I'm going to use a cup of water. And then I have a chicken base, which this is really handy if you don't have chicken broth on hand, just to keep a dried chicken base on. And so a cup of water plus a tablespoon of the chicken base is going to give me that extra cup that I need for the soup. And then we chopped the vegetables earlier. I'm going to put in the potatoes and the mushrooms and the onions. The broccoli I'll just add closer to the end. And kind of stir that around a little bit to get it going. I like to put as many vegetables in as I have liquid. You could do a little bit more, a little bit less, but you can see that the amount of vegetables kind of comes up to the level of the liquid. And so we could not add a white sauce, and we could just use this as the soup. You can add different flavor. At the end, I'll add some pepper. If you like to add dill, that's a really nice complement sometimes to potato soup. And you can experiment with other seasonings. You can add salt, but again, I'm not adding any because there's some in the chicken broth. Usually there's plenty. Low sodium is a good option as well. The next step is the white sauce, and this is my favorite part. We've got the vegetables back here simmering. It'll take about 20 minutes, and so while that's simmering, I'll make the white sauce. So you can use oil. You just need some type of fat. I'm using butter because we like the flavor of butter, but if you're having to watch your saturated fat, you're going to want to use oil. So there's 1/4 cup of butter in there, and then we're going to add 1/4 cup of flour. Another one of my absolute favorite kitchen tools is this, and that's just to help get things nice and creamy. So what's happening here is I'm blending, and this is really important. You've got to get the flour blended well into whatever your fat is, in this case butter, because the fat molecules kind of have to trap the flour molecules, and it just needs to be really well blended into it. And then you're going to have a nice and creamy white sauce with it. And once that is blended up pretty good, I'm going to put the heat on probably about a medium. You need to watch it pretty closely. It's going to be ready. And you can see now that we've got it blended up here pretty well. Then we're going to use 2 cups of milk. I usually set the milk out a little bit because to keep us a little bit warmer. That doesn't take quite as long to heat up, so I'll set it out at the beginning. I don't add all the milk at once. I add about half of it, and then I'm going to stir this for a little while until it starts to get thick. You can see it is starting to bubble. If your heat is on high, you're going to have to really stir it constantly. But if you have it at lower heat, you might have to stir it all the time. But you really don't want this to stick. The milk can stick pretty easily. But now that it's bubbling, it's finished. That's all there is to a white sauce. So you melt your fat, you blend your flour in really good. You could use an alternative flour to wheat flour, depending upon what your allergies are. And that's it. And you just have to allow the milk to heat up in it, and it's ready to go. Now the vegetables on the back have been cooked, and they've cooked long enough, so I'm going to pull this up just a little bit closer so we can see. Add a little bit of broccoli closer to the end. And again, you could just do plain potato soup, no problem. But I think it's fun. We enjoy different things, and I thought it was kind of fun to do with this. So then the next step is going to be to pour in your white sauce, and that's going to help. That's going to give you a nice creamy soup. Then we can just simply blend that in. So to serve, you just need a nice scoop. And then to garnish it off, you could do a couple of different things. You could add a little bit of parsley to it if you want to garnish. And you could also add a little bit of cheese to it. And that's kind of up to you. If you're watching your saturated fat, I wouldn't add the cheese, but it just makes it really nice. So thank you all for joining me today, and I encourage you to try a wide variety of soups on the West Virginia University Extension Service website. We have links to lots of different recipes, and we're glad to share soup with you today. Thank you.